Hi, we are group number 7 in this strategy marketing planning subject. I am group leader. My name is Thong Xuan and my team members are Chia Zhi Xin, Jia Jun, Aayron, Asvin and Nareyshmen. So next slide. I will be the first presenter. So in this whole presentation, we'll run through introduction, speak out or short up article. There are a lot of events recommendation from this article. And because there are only 5 of us in this group, and we choose LGBTQ+, careful communication, world mental health, advertising, and World Cup. After that, continue with the conclusion, and each of us will explain the things we learned from this article. Lastly is the reference we use for proof our points and also the YouTube link. So moving on to the next slide. So, from Speak Out and Shut Up article, we know that it discusses about the inflation across the world that caused people lost their job, and it also affects company as well. Their sales drop and no profit. So they have come out some recommendation that is using different types of events in order to help company improve their sales and run through the tough times. They also got explain and prove some company that didn't follow the trends, didn't pay attention and using some wrong way that affects the company badly. And on the other side, of course, they also explain that some companies have used the right strategies to achieve good results. This article have separate to different parts. Is it your moment? Right moment, right tone, careful communications, and also the finding a way forward. Moving on to the next slide. So we'll go through more about the recommendation from article and how is it affect to the companies. First, LGBTQ plus events. LGBTQ stands for people are gay, lesbian, bisexual, and so on. We all know that in the Western country they are friendly to this group of people, but some religions like Muslim country and China doesn't accept them. So go back to the topic, how is it affect your companies by using this event? Pride Month is on June. So if company, for example, this year Pingming Market in Malaysia, they did this event this year in June at Lalaport. So people who are this group of people, they will feel warm. Because Malaysia is a Muslim country, so it's hard for them to build this event. So obviously, they'll reach more customer because of the diversity and inclusion of the company. So for the negative impact would be the legal risk. Malaysia is a Muslim country, so they will have the legal risk, and we are not an open country like American, UK, Europe country. So some people maybe will boycott this group of people. So it will also affect the company image for people who are really taking this seriously. So moving on to the issues that face from some companies. Malaysia bans Swatch watch that celebrate the LGBTQ rights. This caused they lost their sales, their supplier also wasted. So yeah, they are also discrimination and harassment. So from my opinion, it really depends on the culture of the country. If you're using LGBTQ as a marketing strategies in Western country, they'll be more safe. But in Malaysia, Indonesia, we got the legal problem. So that's all from me. I'll pass it to another presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. I will talking about World Mental Health Day. Firstly, one of the positive impact is companies that emphasize mental health are more likely to attract and retain talent. And making this commitment can set them apart from their competitors. Other than that, other positive impacts is company can increasing productivity, mentally healthy, understanding, and supportive employees are likely to perform better, increasing overall productivity. On the other side, one of the negative impact is reputational risk. Possibility of negative evaluations executed of using mental health days for branding. Next, negative social media backlash. Negative sentiment can spread quickly on social media, exacerbating the perception of the company as insincere or opportunistic. Then, for issues part. First and foremost, resource allocation concerns. There may be pressure on company budgets in allocating time and money to mental health programs. Lastly, inconsistent internal and external information. Companies need to ensure consistency between external publicity and actual internal practices in order to avoid generating mistrust among the public as well as outsiders. Thanks. I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you, Jasin. I'm Jia Jun, and now I'm going to talk about careful communications in marketing. Okay, so the first one will be about the impact, which in the positive side, careful communications can avoid any marketing fail, which will result in backfire. Like, for example, Dove was accused and sued for racism advertisement where a black woman was became white after using Dove product, which is very racist against the black people. Okay, so for the second one, careful communications can ensure customers' demand is compelled, as careful communications will ensure marketers to make more research about market demand and thus being able to fulfill the customer's demand through ads. So for example, they will take time to research about customers' demand and their behavior during a certain time of period, and in the end they will just make an ad from the results from all this research. Okay, although careful communications is important in marketing, there's also a few negative effects from the careful communication marketing strategy. So first of all, it will be lack of innovation in advertisement, as marketers does not risk in making creative advertisements, and this will not innovate the process of marketing. Look, for example, they're just too scared to create advertisement that will backfire, so they just go to the safe one, always the safe path. And for the second one will be, you increase the time used in creating an ad, as being too careful in creating communication choice of words will take a longer time to create the ad, and this will result in not making on time when it comes to posting ads while following fast trend. Like for example, MACD, they have to do the ads fast, especially during the Yellow Festival. So, okay, so for the issues about careful communications, it's not much. It's just boring advertisements will appear everywhere around. So, for example, plain ads are created without any form of innovation and creativity. Like, it's just marketers try to be more careful. Like, it's not funny. There's no sense of humor. That's what came from careful communications in marketing. That's all for my presentation. Now I pass it to my next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jia Jun, and a very good evening to Mr. Rakesh. So today I'm going to be presenting on advertising. Firstly, why is advertising important? You see, advertising, it helps you to reach out to potential customers and to encourage them to buy your products and services. Therefore, companies should actually invest more in advertising in order to increase revenues for the company. So for today, I'm going to be explaining on the positive impact and also the negative impact in advertising and the issues faced when it comes to advertising here in Malaysia. So the first positive impact is consumer awareness. So advertising informs consumers about new products, services, and also technologies. It educates all the consumers about their options in also helping them to make more informed decisions. The second positive impact when it comes to advertising here is the brand recognition. right? So when you advertise your product more, you're obviously people will get to know more about your product, right? The brand recognition. So advertising, it enables you to enhance small business reputation, right? So both offline and also online advertising can boost the prominence of your key messages, the takeaways that you want your target audience to have, and also the highlight the best aspects of your company. When you use ads to evoke certain emotions or tell the story behind your brand, you can actually shape customer perception, also known as brand image. For instance, if you have any negative exposure, running an ad that highlights a positive part of your business can redirect potential consumers away from the unwanted attention. As for the negative outcomes, firstly is high advertising costs. Advertising can be expensive for businesses, and the pressure to maintain a competitive presence can strain budgets, especially for smaller businesses. Secondly is the privacy concerns. So the collection of personal information for targeted advertising purposes can raise privacy concerns. Consumers may feel uncomfortable with the level of privacy tracking and targeting involved in some online advertising. So brands that don't advertise for a year usually see their sales fall by 16% and 25% after 2 years. Even bulletproof brand suffers if, for example, Coca-Cola lowered their advertising budget by 35% and it shows their revenue dropped by more than 10%. So, what are the issues faced when it comes to advertising? Firstly, government regulations. The advertising industry in Malaysia faces complex challenges, in particular to the numerous government regulations. The regulations reflect the national aspiration for achieving a Malaysian identity and culture while confirming the values of Islam, which is also the national religion. These aspirations were actually set out by the Ministry of Information and specified in the advertising code for television and radio. So this advertising code was actually designed to safeguard advertising and the consumers against the influence of foreign culture values. Thank you.
Okay, so for my part would be the World Cup. So let's see how World Cup will impact the businesses basically. So from the positive side, which number one, which will be the sponsorship opportunities. So the World Cup offers sponsorship opportunities for companies to associate themselves with the event and also to gain exposure through multiple various marketing channels basically. The second one, which is obviously increase in brand exposure. So increase their brand exposure on a large scale since World Cup is a worldwide thing. And this exposure can also lead to greater brand recognition and also awareness among most potential customers actually. Yes, so those are the two positive impacts. And let's look at the negative impact. So number one, which will be it's quite pricey, which is high in cost. So company may need to allocate substantial budgets for, most importantly, advertising, sponsorship, and also promotional activities. So those are okay for big, like bigger scale businesses, but for smaller businesses with like limited resources, it is definitely going to be a financial burden for them basically, which means like they might face a lot of struggles lah. Yeah. And the second one, which will be relevant to target audience. So not all businesses uh, or target audience may be directly interested or affected by the event. So it is crucial for company to actually check whether their target market actually aligns together with the World Cup. Because if it doesn't, then it will be a big issue as well. So yeah, those are the two negative impacts. And let's look at the issues. So the issues which actually will occur during this World Cup event is the legal and licensing issues. So as we all know, the World Cup is a highly regulated event, and company need to assure they comply with all the legal requirements and also obtain necessary licenses for all of their marketing activities. And obviously, failure to do so can result in legal consequences, and most importantly, it will damage the company's reputation. Yes, so that's all for my part. Thank you.
Okay, so in conclusion, LGBTQ World Mental Health Day, careful communications, advertising, and customer retention is vital in marketing, as marketers nowadays have to be more aware when it comes to advertising a product with a sensitive topic. Thank you so much, and that's all for our presentation today. And now we'll be going into learning our learning outcome from this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jajin. Pass the speaker to me. So the point that I learned from this article is company must use a right time and time zone when posting content, because it will bring negative impact also if you using wrong timing post the specific events. Also, company should choose a right content that suit them. If not related, people will feel like a little bit deliberately. So, for example, if a food company they post a music content that isn't relevant to the company, and people will be blur or lost or what are they doing. So that's all from me. I'll pass it to another presenter. Thank you.
Hi, I am Zhi Xin. I will talking about the learning outcome. Firstly, it is important to learn how to use various famous or meaningful activities to use in company strategy. Next, when applying the various strategies, it is important to first analyze the positive, negative impacts and issues that the company may face. Lastly, the company has to choose its strategy and run it carefully so that it doesn't affect the company in a bad way. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm Jia Jun. Thank you for choosing about her learning outcome about this assignment, and now I will talk about the learning outcome for this assignment from myself. And first of all, careful communications is vital in marketing world, as it will affect the outcome of the consumer behavior. And although careful communications is important for marketers have to brainstorm their ideas to implement it in their advertisements without being too careful. They have to put in sense of humor, they have to put in jokes and memes so people get it and people think it's funny. This will, like, get their attention from the customers, and thus people just spend more time in looking the ads. And of course, for the third one is marketers should always be more alert on the market situation while analyzing the consumer behavior, as there are always pros and cons in every advertisement created. Like, for example, every ads will be upward and downward, so it's normal for marketers to have negative advertisements, negative effect from the ad, like negative comments, and you eventually receive positive comments from the advertisement too. So it's normal for them to receive both positive and negative results from an advertisement. Thank you. Now I will pass it to my next presenter.
All right. Therefore, now I'll be explaining on the learning outcome for advertising. Firstly, is to recognize the impact of advertising, explain the significance of advertising in informing consumers and enabling them to make well informed decisions, and to also evaluate how advertising plays a vital role in enhancing brand recognition and also boosting the reputation of small businesses. Secondly, is to analyze the positive impacts of advertising, is to understand how advertising can positively impact a company's growth, including increased visibility and also market presence. Thirdly, is to address the negative aspects of advertising, recognize the challenges related to advertising, such as high advertising costs or maybe the strain on budgets, especially for smaller businesses. And lastly, is to comprehend the roles of government regulations, to understand the impact of government regulation, especially in regions like Malaysia, on advertising practices and their roles in achieving a balance between cultural identity and religious values. Thank you.
Okay, so for the learning outcome for my part, Before implementing any sort of marketing strategy, it is very crucial to actually evaluate any potential good and also the negative effect, like how it will impact the organization basically. That's the first point. Second point, the World Cup actually offers sponsorship opportunities for companies to associate themselves with events and also to gain exposure through various marketing channels. So that's one of the most uh, important points for companies to actually take note of. And the third one, which is increase in your brand of exposure on a large scale, since it's an international event, so it can definitely increase their brand exposure on a large scale, which will actually help out their business to actually grow out the sales in the long run, basically. So these are the three learning outcomes, and that's all for my part. Thank you.